October 16th, 2025. A day that starts like any other. The world wakes up, clicks on a phone, sips coffee, and then the collective intake of breath. The internet freezes, then breaks. Rolling Stone, the Associated Press, TMZ, every banner, every alert says the same thing. Paul Ace Frehley, dead at 74, the Spaceman, is gone. For 2 generations, he was not a man, but an icon, an archetype. He was the silver-painted alien from the planet Jendel, a creature of pure rock and roll lightning, beamed down to Earth with a Gibson Les Paul in his hands. He was the smoking guitar, the cackling laugh, the mysterious silent one who spoke only through his amplifier, in a language of bent strings and bluesy atmospheric solos. He was the coolest member of the biggest band in the world. But this isn't a story about the makeup. It isn't about the lunchboxes or the rockets or the pyrotechnics. This is a story about the profound, painful, and beautiful contradiction of the man inside the costume. A man who fought himself just as hard as he fought for his music. A man who craved anonymity but became one of the most recognizable faces on Earth. This is the story of a genius and an addict, the story of a brother and an outcast. This is the story of how a kid from the Bronx, told he had no future, built an empire, and how that empire almost cost him everything. To understand the Spaceman, you have to go back to Earth. You have to go back to a 2-bedroom apartment, to the sound of street corners and stickball, to the restless, simmering energy of the Bronx. The Bronx, New York, 1951. Post-war America. This is where Paul Daniel Frehley is born, the youngest of 3 children. His father, Carl, is an accountant. His mother, Esther, a homemaker. On the surface, it's a typical working-class American family. But inside that apartment, there's a secret weapon: music. Carl plays the church organ. Esther plays the piano. His brother, Charles, plays classical guitar. His sister, Nancy, plays piano. The Frehley household isn't quiet. It's filled with sound. But it's not the sound Paul hears in his head. The music he craves is rougher. It's electric. It's dangerous. Out on the streets, a different kind of music is playing. The sound of a neighborhood on the edge. Paul is smart, brilliantly smart. Tests show an IQ north of 160. He's a wonderkind. He's also bored, restless. That high wattage brain needs an outlet, and school isn't it. So he finds one. He joins a street gang. The Ducks. It's an identity. It's a shield. In the Bronx in the early 1960s, you run with someone, or you run from everyone. The Ducks are his new family. They give him a nickname: Ace. Why? Because, as he'd later say, he was the guy who could get a date with any girl. He was the ace in the hole. But the name is a mask. He's still Paul, the quiet one, the observer, the kid with the artist's eye, always sketching, always watching. He's living 2 lives: the smart, quiet boy at home and the tough kid on the corner. That contradiction, it starts here, and it will define his entire life. He's kicked out of one high school, then another, then a third. His family is worried. They see this incredible spark, this blinding intelligence, being funneled into street fights and petty crime. A guidance counselor finally sits him down, looks at his record, looks at the long hair, the defiant posture, and delivers the verdict. "Paul," he says, "you have no future. No future." Those words hit him like a physical blow. A life, canceled at 16, written off. He walks out of that office not angry, but burning. He would later say that moment was the fuel. He wasn't just going to have a future. He was going to build one so massive, so loud, that the whole world would have to look. He just needed the tools. Christmas, 1964. He's 13. Under the tree is a rectangular box. Inside, a cheap Japanese-made electric guitar. It's an imitation. It barely stays in tune. It is the most beautiful thing he has ever seen. He doesn't know how to play it. He doesn't take lessons. He doesn't learn to read music. He doesn't care. He has something better. He has an ear. He goes into his bedroom. He puts a record on the turntable. The Rolling Stones, The Who, Cream, Led Zeppelin. He drops the needle, listens to a 5-second lick from Eric Clapton, lifts the needle, tries to find the notes on the fretboard. Wrong. Lifts the needle, drops it again, plays it, wrong, again and again and again, and for 10, 12, 14 hours a day. The world outside his bedroom door, it just disappears. The ducks, the street corners, the guidance counselors, the report cards. All of it dissolves into the warm, distorted hum of his tiny amplifier. He's not just learning notes, he's learning feel. He's learning that iconic shaky vibrato from Clapton. He's learning the violent, chaotic attack of Pete Townshend. He's learning the slinky, blues-drenched swagger of Jimmy Page. He is, quite literally, downloading the DNA of rock and roll, one vinyl scratch at a time. And in the process, he's creating his own. His fingers are raw, they bleed. He puts crazy glue on the tips and keeps playing. He's not practicing, he's becoming. By the time he's 17, he's not just good. He's scary good. He's the best guitarist in the Bronx. But what do you do with that? How do you turn bedroom magic into a life? You start a band. He plays in the Muff Drivers. He plays in King Kong. He plays in Honey. He plays in Cathedral. They play church basements, VFW halls, local dances. They play covers of Zeppelin and the Stooges. They're loud, they're raw, and they're going nowhere. The dream is fading. Reality is setting in. Music, it turns out, doesn't pay the rent. So he gets a job, and another, and another. He's a mailman, a furniture delivery guy, a messenger. He works in a liquor store. Each job is a reminder of the guidance counselor's words, no future. The most fateful of these jobs is driving a taxi. Imagine it, it's 1972. Paul Frehley is 21 years old. He's driving a New York City cab night after night, picking up strangers, listening to their stories, all while the greatest music of his life is trapped in his head. He keeps his guitar in the trunk, just in case. He's driving businessmen to Wall Street, couples to the theater, driving right past the legendary clubs he dreams of playing, the Fillmore East, Max's Kansas City. He is on the outside, looking in. He's at a crossroads. He's broke. He's frustrated. He's thinking of quitting. He's thinking maybe the guidance counselor was right. Maybe the dream was just a childish fantasy. Maybe it's time to grow up. One cold afternoon, in late 1972, he's on a break. He picks up a copy of The Village Voice. He's not even looking for anything, just leafing through the classifieds. And then, he sees it. A tiny 4-line ad in the music section. It's arrogant. It's ridiculous. It's perfect. Lead guitarist wanted, with flash and balls, auditions. It lists an address, 10 East 23rd Street, a loft in Manhattan. The band has a record deal, or so they claim. He rips the ad out of the paper. Flash and balls. He thinks, I can do that. He calls the number. A guy with a thick New York accent answers. Yeah? Paul says he's a guitar player. The voice on the other end, Paul Stanley, tells him to come down on Saturday. Saturday arrives. Ace. He's just Paul then. Almost doesn't go. It's a hike. He's tired. It's probably just another dead end. But something pushes him out the door. He grabs his guitar. He doesn't even have a proper case. He grabs his amp and he heads downtown. He walks up to the loft. He can hear them before he sees them. It's loud, but it's different. It's primal, simple. He opens the door. The room is a mess. It's grimy. And in the middle of it stand 3 of the strangest looking guys he's ever seen. One is tall, impossibly skinny with a huge mane of black hair. One is stocky with a gravelly voice playing bass. One is a wiry, scrappy looking guy behind a drum kit. Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Peter Criss. They're auditioning another guitarist. The guy is a blur. He's playing 1,000,000 notes a minute. He's tapping. He's doing arpeggios. He's technically brilliant, and he has absolutely no soul. Ace waits. He watches. He's not intimidated. He's just waiting his turn. And then there's his outfit. He hasn't dressed for an audition. He's dressed for Tuesday. He's wearing one bright red sneaker and one bright orange sneaker. Gene Simmons sees him shuffling in the doorway. He leans over to Paul Stanley and mutters, "Oh, Christ. Look at this. Get rid of this guy." The flashy guitarist finishes. Total silence. The band looks exhausted. Paul Stanley sighs, looks at the kid with the mismatched shoes. "All right, you're next. What do you want to play?" Ace doesn't answer. He just shuffles over to his amp, plugs in. He hits one single, massive E chord. The entire room shakes. The sound is colossal. It's thick. It's raw. It's the sound they've been hearing in their heads but could never find. It's the sound of a Les Paul plugged straight into a Marshall, dimed. Gene, Paul, and Peter, their jaws are on the floor. This clown sounds like a god. "All right," Paul Stanley says, trying to act cool. "We're gonna play a song. It's called Deuce. It's simple. G-A-E. Got it?" Ace just nods. "Got it. Peter Criss counts it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they explode. For the first time, the band sounds like a band. It's not just three guys playing a song. It's a single, massive, breathing entity. Ace isn't just playing the chords, he's weaving around them. He's answering the vocals. He's adding texture and grit and danger. Then the solo break. Ace leans back, he closes his eyes, and he unleashes. It's not the fast technical nonsense they'd been hearing all day. It's pure distilled attitude. It's a howling, melodic, perfectly crafted statement. Every note bends, every phrase tells a story. It's the Bronx, it's the street gangs, it's the hours in the bedroom, it's the no future. It's everything. The song crashes to an end. Silence. The three band members just stare at him. Gene Simmons is the first to speak. "What's your name?" He doesn't say Paul Frehley. He says the name the streets gave him, the name that was his shield. "My name's Ace." He packs up his amp. He leaves. He walks out onto the street, his ears ringing. He has no idea that he just played the single most important audition of his life. A few days later, the phone rings. It's Paul Stanley. "You're in." But it's not just a band. Gene and Paul have a vision, a grand, insane, theatrical vision. They don't want to be a band. They want to be superheroes. They want to be larger than life. They need characters. Paul is the star child. Gene is the demon. Peter is the Catman. What about Ace? They look at him, this quiet, brilliant, eccentric kid, the guy who seems to absorb everything around him, the guy who's obsessed with science fiction, with outer space, with the idea of other worlds. The guy who seems not quite of this one. It's obvious. He's the spaceman. They give him silver makeup. They give him a futuristic costume. They are building a mask for him, a mask that will allow the shy, insecure kid from the Bronx to become the fearless, electrifying alien on stage. It's the perfect solution, and it's the perfect trap. He was Paul Frehley when he walked into that loft. He was Ace when he walked out, and now, standing in front of a mirror, watching the silver paint cover his face. He's about to become something else entirely, something bigger than all of them. The kid with no future was about to invent his own. January 1973, a grimy, unheated loft at 10 East 23rd Street. This is the Crucible. The four of them, Gene, Paul, Peter, and now Ace, are locked in. 6 days a week, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. They are not just practicing songs, they are building a world. Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley are the engines. They are driven by a ferocious, relentless, almost terrifying ambition. They don't just want to be rock stars. They want to be Beatles. They want to be McDonald's. They are strategizing, marketing, cold calling managers. They are building a business plan for a revolution. Ace is different. He's not an engine. He's the fuel. He's the quiet one, the artist, the eccentric. While Gene and Paul are on the phone, Ace is in the corner with a sketch pad. He's meticulous. He's drawing. He takes the name, K-I-S-S, and he transforms it. He turns the two S's into lightning bolts. That logo, that simple, electric, iconic piece of art. It will one day be one of the most recognizable brand marks on Earth, right next to the Coca-Cola script and the Nike swoosh. Ace just doodles it in a cold loft because it looks cool. He doesn't share their all-consuming ambition. He just wants to play. He just wants to make a sound no one has ever heard, and he's doing it. Listen to those early rehearsals. Listen to the bootlegs of Deuce or Strutter. That's not just rock and roll, that's architecture. Paul Stanley's rhythm guitar is the foundation, solid, relentless. Gene's bass is the framework, melodic and menacing. Peter's drumming is the pulse, that swinging, jazzy, streetwise beat. But Ace's guitar, that's the lightning. He isn't playing traditional blues scales. He's not just a pentatonic player, he's throwing in chromatic runs, weird, off-kilter phrasings. He's bending notes into other notes. He's playing things that on paper shouldn't work, but they do. He's the secret ingredient, the X factor. He's the sound that makes four guys from New York sound otherworldly. He's also by far the best natural musician in the band, and they all know it. He's the one who teaches them about equipment, about sound. He's the one who takes a cheap, the $20 Japanese effects pedal and figures out how to make it sound like a spaceship landing. He's the band's secret weapon, and they're about to unleash him. Their new manager, Bill Aucoin, a television producer, sees the vision. He gets it. He lands them a deal with a brand new, untested label, Casablanca Records. It's run by a charismatic, compulsive gambler named Neil Bogart. Bogart doesn't just see a band, he sees a product, he sees the future. November 1973, Bell Sound Studios, New York City. They're recording their first album. It's a fast, brutal process. They're kids. They have no idea what they're doing. The producers, Kerner and Wise, are trying to capture their live sound. But how do you capture an explosion in a sterile room? Ace is terrified. This is real. The red light is on. The tape is rolling. He's used to playing in a club, feeding off the energy, the smoke, the chaos. Here, it's just a sterile room and a microphone. He seizes up. He's tight. He's nervous. The solo for Love Theme from Kiss. A slow, melodic piece. He just can't nail it. He tries, again and again. It's stiff. It's precise. It has no ace. Finally, the producers have an idea. They know who they're dealing with. They turn off every single light in the studio. They plunge him into total, absolute darkness. Okay, Ace, their voice crackles over the intercom. You're on stage. You're at Madison Square Garden. The place is sold out. Go. He closes his eyes. He's not in a studio. He's on stage. He's the spaceman, and he plays. The solo that comes out is pure liquid fire. It's emotional. It's melodic. It's perfect. It's the sound of a star being born in the dark. It's the first time they all realize the fundamental truth. Paul Frehley struggles. Paul Frehley is nervous. But the spaceman is bulletproof. The album, simply titled Kiss, is released on February 18, 1974. It lands with a deafening thud. It doesn't chart. Radio doesn't know what to do with it. Is it glam? Is it metal? Is it a joke? The cover, 4 kabuki-painted faces staring back. It's alienating. It's weird. The band isn't worried. Their true weapon isn't the album, it's the show. They hit the road in a U-Haul truck, driving themselves. They played to 20 people in a bar in Edmonton, Canada. They played to 50 people in a high school gym in Michigan. They are relentless, and every single night, whether it's for 50 people or 500, they do the full show. 2 hours to put on the makeup, the full leather and studs costumes, the 7-inch platform heels. They do this for a half-empty room. They are losing thousands of dollars a week. They are sleeping in cheap motels, 4 to a room. But they are building an army, one stunned fan at a time. Because if you saw Kiss in 1974, you never ever forgot it. It's not a concert, it's an assault. It's a comic book come to life. Gene is spitting blood and breathing fire. Paul is a preening, strutting rock god. Peter's drums are levitating. And Ace is the anti-showman. He just stands there, stage right. He's the eye of the storm. He doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to preen. He just is. He is the coolest thing you have ever seen. And then, the solo. The lights go down. A single white spot hits him. He holds his black Les Paul aloft. He hits a chord, and the guitar smokes. Thick white smoke pours from the pickups. It envelops him. He's not just playing rock and roll. He's commanding it. It's a cheap magic trick. A smoke bomb wired into the control cavity. But to a 15-year-old kid in Ohio, it's real. This guy isn't from New York. He's from space. They are a sensation on stage, and a complete commercial disaster. The second album, Hotter Than Hell, is released in October 1974. It bombs. The third, Dressed to Kill, is released in March 1975. It bombs harder. By the spring of 1975, it's over. Casablanca Records is bleeding money. Neil Bogart is broke, bouncing checks to keep the lights on. The band is hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to their own manager, their label, everyone. The Dressed to Kill tour is a catastrophe. They're playing to smaller and smaller crowds. They're spent. They're exhausted. This is it. The dream is dead. Bill Alcoin and Neil Bogart have one last desperate idea, a final insane roll of the dice. The problem, they decide, isn't the music. It's the studio. They simply cannot capture the live energy on tape. So, why try? Let's record the show. Let's make a live album. It is, commercially, the stupidest idea in music history. In 1975, live albums are an afterthought. They're cheap, muddy-sounding souvenirs for die-hard fans. And Kiss doesn't have any die-hard fans. Not enough to matter. It's a contractual obligation. A tombstone. They book a string of dates. The centerpiece, Cobo Hall in Detroit. May 16, 1975. Detroit is the one city on earth that gets them. It's a working-class lunch pail town. They don't care about critics. They care about rock, and Kiss is their band. This is it. This is the last stand. They pour every last cent they have into this show. More bombs, more fire, more everything. The band hits the stage with the manic, desperate energy of men who have absolutely nothing left to lose. And Ace is on fire. He's not in a dark, sterile studio. He is in his element. He's breathing the smoke, eating the adrenaline. He's the spaceman. He's home. His solos on Deuce, on Black Diamond, on She, they are blistering. They are sloppy and brilliant and glorious. This is the sound they've been chasing. This is the sound of the kid from the Bronx finally, fully unleashed. The album is called Alive. They get the tapes. They're a mess. The sound is raw. The mistakes are obvious. So they fix it. They sweeten it in the studio. They fix the guitar solos. They re-record the bass. They add massive amounts of crowd noise. It's not a live album. It's a fantasy of a live album. It's a movie. It's the sound of what it felt like to be there. It is released on September 10th, 1975. It doesn't just succeed, it detonates. It enters the charts and climbs and climbs. Rock and Roll All Night, Live becomes their first top 40 hit. Suddenly, they're not just a weird band in makeup. They are everywhere. Alive goes gold, then it goes platinum, then double platinum. It saves the band. It saves the record label. It changes everything. Overnight, Paul Ace Frehley goes from being a broke cab driver from the Bronx to a certified platinum-selling bona fide rock star. He is 24 years old. He has more money than he could ever have imagined. Strangers scream his name. Women throw themselves at him. Record executives who wouldn't return his calls a year ago are now begging for his time. Everything he ever wanted is his, and he is utterly, completely unprepared. The guidance counselor was wrong. He has a future, and it's a future that is bigger and brighter and far more dangerous than he could ever have possibly imagined. The spaceman had finally, officially landed. The problem was, Paul Frehley was still inside, and he was getting very, very lost. Alive doesn't just save them, it transforms them. The year is 1976, and Kiss is no longer a band. They are a religion. They go from playing theaters to selling out basketball arenas. Then hockey arenas, then football stadiums. The U-Haul truck is gone, replaced by a private custom-painted Boeing 707. The world turns to plaid. It's an invasion. There are Kiss lunchboxes, Kiss trash cans, Kiss Halloween costumes. There is a Kiss Marvel comic book printed in the band's own blood. There is a primetime made-for-TV movie, Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. They are, by every metric, the biggest band in the world. A 1977 Gallup poll names them the most popular band in America, more popular than Led Zeppelin, more popular than the Eagles, more popular than Star Wars. They are 4 New York kids who have become superheroes, and their faces are on everything. This is the peak, the absolute zenith of the mountain, and the air is getting very thin. To capitalize on this explosion, Casablanca Records brings in a new producer, a brilliant, eccentric classical music protege named Bob Ezrin. His mission, to take the raw power of Alive and turn it into a cinematic, polished studio masterpiece. The album will be called Destroyer. For Gene and Paul, this is a dream. Ezrin is their George Martin. He's the one who will make them legitimate. For Ace, it's a nightmare. Ezrin is a taskmaster, a professor. He stops the band and gives lectures on music theory. He writes parts out on a chalkboard. Ace, the kid who learned to play by ear, the kid who got kicked out of 3 high schools, is now back in a classroom, and he is suffocating. He can't play the way Ezrin wants. He can't be precise. His genius is in the slop. It's in the feel. It's in the raw, electric, untamed attitude. Ezrin tries to chain it, and Ace just shuts down. The solo for Detroit Rock City. He can't nail it. He struggles. He gets frustrated. He gets angry. He leaves. So Bob Ezrin, in a decision that will haunt the band for decades, calls another guitar player. A session musician named Dick Wagner. Wagner comes in. He is a professional. He is not a rock star. He is a technician. He listens to Ace's demoed solo, cleans it up, and plays it, note for note, perfectly. He plays the solo on Sweet Pain. He plays the acoustic guitar on Beth. The biggest album of Kiss's career, the one that will become their masterpiece, doesn't even have their lead guitarist on half the songs. It is the ultimate professional humiliation, and it plants a seed of resentment in Ace that will never ever go away. But the machine is too big to stop. Destroyer is a monster hit. Beth is a top 10 single. The tour is massive, and now the mask that was his salvation is becoming a prison. Paul Frehley is shy. He's introverted. He's insecure. He hates interviews. He hates the meet and greets. He hates the suffocating pressure of being Ace Frehley 24 hours a day. The Spaceman can handle it. The Spaceman is a rock god. He is fearless. He is cool. But how do you get Paul to become the Spaceman? A drink helps. A beer before the show. Then a bottle of champagne. Then a line of cocaine. Just to get ready. Just to get up. Just to be able to walk out there in the silver boots and face 80,000 people. The famous Ace cackle. That ack! It becomes a nervous tick. A shield. It's the sound of deflection. It's the sound he makes when he's uncomfortable or when a question hits too close to home. He is uncomfortable all the time. December 12th, 1976, Lakeland, Florida, the Destroyer Tour. They're rising to the stage. Ace runs over to the side to a set of ungrounded metal stairs. He places one hand on the railing, and 2,000 volts of electricity shoot through his body. The current seizes his muscles. He can't let go. It's burning him from the inside out. His roadie, thinking fast, kicks his legs out from under him, breaking the circuit. Ace is thrown back. He lands, unmoving. His heart has stopped. He is, for all intents and purposes, dead. Silence. Chaos. Paramedics rush the stage. They work on him. A minute, 2 minutes, and then a jolt. His eyes open. He is alive. He's in shock. He can't feel his hands. The promoter wants to cancel the show. Ace just looks at him. No, fuck that. 10 minutes later, high on an impossible cocktail of adrenaline and brandy, he walks back on stage. The crowd roars. They have no idea what just happened. Ace plugs in his guitar and finishes the show. The incident becomes legend. It cements his myth. He's not just a spaceman. He's immortal. He literally died and came back. After a show like that, what's a bottle of vodka? What's a few grams of coke? They're nothing. He survived electrocution. He is invincible. It's the single worst thing that could have happened to him. The incident inspires a song. His first real lead vocal. He's terrified to sing it. He records it lying on his back in the dark at the record plant. The song is called Shock Me. It becomes his anthem. The band is now at its absolute peak. They are an unstoppable commercial force. But privately, they are falling apart. They're arguing about everything: money, music, women. They are 4 CEOs of a massive corporation, and they all hate each other. They're recording in separate rooms. They're traveling in separate limousines. The machine is breaking. Their manager, Bill Alcoin, has another brilliant, insane idea to save them. He needs to let the pressure out. Give them space. In 1978, on the same day, all 4 members of KISS will release a solo album. It is a $4 million gamble, a spectacular act of hubris. The industry thinks they are insane. Gene's album is a sprawling, star-studded affair with Cher and Donna Summer. Paul's is a polished, melodic rock album. Peter's is a soft rock R&B misfire. And Ace's album is just a rock and roll record. He doesn't have Bob Ezrin. He doesn't have a string section. He just has a great producer, Eddie Kramer, and a pile of riffs. He has freedom. For the first time, he is completely in charge. He plays almost every instrument himself. The shy kid from the Bronx, the guy who was told he had no future, the guitarist who was replaced on his own band's album, is finally making his record. And it is a masterpiece. It's raw, it's melodic, it's tough, and it contains a hit, a massive hit, a cover of an old song by the band Hello, a song that perfectly captures his Bronx swagger. New York Groove. The song rockets to number 13 on the Billboard charts. The album goes platinum. It is, by a massive margin, the most successful, most acclaimed, and most beloved of the 4 solo records. Ace Frehley, the addled, unreliable, the quiet one, has just beaten Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley at their own game. He proved it. He proved it to the critics. He proved it to the band. Most of all, he proved it to himself. He is a star. He is a songwriter. He is a singer. He doesn't need them. This triumph is the final nail in the coffin. When they regroup to make their next album, 1979's Dynasty, Ace walks in not as the kid brother, but as a platinum-selling solo artist. He's got the hit, he's got the confidence, and he is in no mood to be told what to do, but the machine demands disco. I Was Made for Lovin' You is a global smash. And Ace just hates it. His contributions are defiant, a blistering cover of the Rolling Stones' 2000 Man. It's a song about an alienated man of the future, disconnected from the world. It's not a cover, it's a biography. The band is booked on The Tom Snyder Show, a late-night serious talk show. It is, to this day, one of the most infamous interviews in rock history. Gene and Paul are there to be serious, to be businessmen, to talk about the brand. Ace is hammered. He is wearing a silver lame jacket. He is loud. He is drinking on set. And he completely, totally, and hilariously derails the entire interview. Paul Stanley is visibly mortified. Gene Simmons is sitting in stunned, angry silence. And Ace is cackling. He's telling stories about his rocket-firing guitar. He's laughing at his own jokes. He's charming. He's a disaster. For the fans, it's a revelation. This is the real Ace. He's funny. He's rebellious. He's sticking it to the corporate Gene and Paul. For the band, it is the last straw. It is a public, humiliating disgrace. The Spaceman has officially gone rogue. The fall is fast, and it is brutal. The next album, 1980's Unmasked, is a slick pop-rock disaster. Ace is barely on it. Peter Criss is on the cover, but doesn't play a single note. He's fired, replaced by Eric Carr, the Fox. The family is broken. And then, the ultimate miscalculation, 1981's Music from the Elder. It's a concept album, a medieval fantasy, with an orchestra and a choir, produced again by Bob Ezrin. It is everything Kiss is not. For Ace, this is the end. This is a betrayal of everything they built. He fights them. He begs them. We're a rock and roll band. We're not doing this. They ignore him. He retreats. He refuses to come to the studio. He stays home in his new studio in Connecticut, getting high and recording. He mails his solos in. He is, quite literally, phoning it in. He stops showing up for anything. Photo shoots, video shoots, he's a ghost. By 1982, they are recording Creatures of the Night, a return to heavy metal. But it's too late. Ace is gone. His face is on the cover, a contractual obligation. But the blistering heavy solos, they're played by a handful of session guys, including a young, unknown guitarist named Vinnie Vincent. The Spaceman, the co-founder, the logo designer, the soul of the band, is out. He's not fired. He doesn't quit. He just vanishes. The band that saved his life, the band that gave him a future, the band that he built, is moving on without him. He is 31 years old. He is a multi-millionaire. He is a world-famous rock and roll legend. And he is back in the Bronx, metaphorically. A kid with no future. The mask is gone. And Paul Frehley has no idea who he is. He just knows he needs a drink. The wilderness. This is what comes after the machine. After the makeup, the stadiums, the private jets. For the rest of the 1980s, Ace Frehley is adrift. He forms a new band, Frehley's Comet. It's a solid, hard rock outfit. They tour clubs, theaters. It's a living. But it's not Kiss. He's no longer the spaceman in the biggest show on Earth. He's just Ace, trying to find his footing, playing to crowds a fraction of the size. And the demons, the old familiar demons, are right there with him. The drinking is constant. The drug use is rampant. He is, by his own admission, a functioning, and then not so functioning, alcoholic. He's the guy who survived electrocution. He's the guy who had the hit solo album. He is invincible until he isn't. He crashes cars, he gets arrested, he loses millions. He becomes the rock and roll cliche, the fallen star, the guy who used to be in a band. The kid from the Bronx is back, only this time he's living in a self-made prison of his own past. Kiss, meanwhile, moves on. They take off the makeup, they hire new guitarists, they score massive hits on MTV. They are a different band, a professional, slick 80s corporation. And for a new generation, Ace Frehley is just a trivia question. Then, 1995, the music world is changing. Grunge has taken over. A wave of 70s nostalgia is sweeping the culture. And the idea of Kiss, the original Kiss, is suddenly cool again. MTV invites them to play Unplugged. Gene and Paul, in the middle of their own successful unmasked career, agree. But as a stunt, an olive branch, they invite Peter and Ace to join them for the encore. Ace walks onto that soundstage. He's nervous. He's older. He hasn't played with these guys in over a decade. He picks up an acoustic guitar. Peter Criss sits behind a small kit. Paul Stanley introduces him. This is a guy named Ace Frehley. The crowd erupts. The sound is deafening. It's not just applause, it's a primal roar, a release of 15 years of pent-up desire. They play 2,000 Man. They play Beth. They play Nothing to Lose. And the chemistry, that old, volatile, magical chemistry, it's still there. It's rusty, it's awkward, but it's real. In that moment, watching the four of them on stage, an idea is born. A terrible, brilliant, inevitable idea. The reunion. The world doesn't want the unplugged Kiss. They want the monster. So in 1996, the deal is struck. The makeup goes back on. The costumes are rebuilt. The original four, Gene, Paul, Peter, and Ace, announced the Alive Worldwide Tour. It is not a tour, it is a conquest. It is the single highest grossing tour of 1996. They sell out 40,000-seat stadiums in minutes. That kid in 1975 who saw the Alive show, he's now 35 years old, and he's bringing his own kids. For one spectacular blazing year, they are the biggest band in the world. Again, Ace is back. He's the spaceman. He's got the smoking guitar. He's got the cackle. He's standing stage right in the silver boots, and the world is screaming his name. It's a redemption story so perfect Hollywood wouldn't dare write it. But it's a fantasy. It's a business deal. And the old problems, the real human problems, they never went away. They were just painted over. The old resentments are still there. The arguments about money, the battle for control, and for Ace, the old dependencies. The tour is a massive success, but it's also a massive trigger. The pressure is suffocating. They try to make a new album. 1998's Psycho Circus. It's a fraud. They aren't a band. They are four solo artists recording in separate rooms who despise each other. Ace, once again, is alienated. He barely plays on the record. Most of his parts are, again, played by a session musician, this time a man named Tommy Thayer, the guy who, in a Kiss tribute band, used to play the Spaceman. The irony is cruel. The tour finally, inevitably, collapses. The farewell tour of 2000 is a miserable, bitter slog. The last show with the original lineup is in Charleston, South Carolina. They walk off stage. They don't say goodbye. They just leave. And this time, it's for good. The machine, however, has to keep going. Gene and Paul, they own the name. They own the makeup. The show must go on. So they hire a new guitarist, Tommy Thayer, and they put him in the silver paint. They give him the spaceman costume. For the fans, it's a deep, painful betrayal. For Ace, it is the unforgivable sin. It's not just replacing him, it's erasing him. It's not just a feud anymore. It's a war, and it is a war fought in the press. For the next 2 decades, the defining narrative of Ace Frehley is his bitterness towards Kiss, and their bitterness towards him. Gene Simmons, on camera. Ace has had more chances than anyone. He's a drunk. He's a loser. Ace Frehley in a radio interview. Gene is a fucking asshole. Paul is a control freak. Tommy Thayer is just a guy in a Halloween costume. It is ugly, it is public, and it overshadows everything. It overshadows the music. It overshadows the legacy. It becomes the whole story. But while the world is watching the public feud, a private, personal miracle is happening. Ace gets clean. For real this time. September 15th, 2006, he wakes up. He's sick. He's tired. He's 55 years old. And he's done. He goes to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and he keeps going. One day at a time, Paul Frehley, the man, begins to put himself back together. He finds sobriety, and in sobriety he finds clarity. He finds peace. He finds his hands again. He starts playing, not for a paycheck, not for a tour, but for the joy of it. The joy he felt as a kid in his bedroom in the Bronx. In 2009, he releases the album Anomaly. It is by far the best work he's done in 20 years. The playing is sharp, focused, the old magic is back. He follows it with Space Invader in 2014. It charts at number 9 on the Billboard 200. It's the highest charting solo album of his entire career. He is happy. He's sober. He's living in San Diego. He's painting. He's spending time with his family. He's making music on his own terms. He's finally at peace. And then the call comes. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Kiss is being inducted. The original 4. The world holds its breath. Will they show up? Will they perform? They show up. All 4 of them. Gene, Paul, Peter, Ace, they stand on stage together in tuxedos. No makeup, no costumes, just four old guys from New York. It is awkward. It is tense. The feud is so thick you can feel it through the television. They are inducted. They are asked to perform. Paul and Gene refuse. They will not play with Ace and Peter. Ace and Peter refuse to watch other people play in their makeup, so they don't play at all. But they do speak. And Ace, sober, clear-eyed, and calm, walks up to the microphone. He looks at Gene, he looks at Paul, and he says, "Thank you." He thanks them for the opportunity. He thanks them for the vision. He makes a joke. "I know we have our little differences, but tonight we're brothers." It's not a full reconciliation. It's not a happy ending, but it is closure. It's a truce. It's a moment of dignity, a moment of grace. The feud from that night on begins to melt away. The interviews get softer. Gene and Ace even play on each other's solo albums. The war is over. It's not a friendship, but it's peace. October 16th, 2025, he's 74 years old. He's at his home in San Diego. He's sober. He's working on new music. He is, by all accounts, a happy man. He goes to sleep, and he doesn't wake up. He passes in his sleep. No drama, no overdose, no scandal. His heart, the one that was stopped by 2,000 volts of electricity almost 50 years earlier, just stops. The spaceman is gone. The news breaks. And in that instant, 2 decades of bitterness, of insults, of feuds, it all evaporates. It just disappears. The statements from Kiss are immediate, and they are heartbreaking. Paul Stanley on Twitter, "I am stunned. My brother is gone. We didn't always see eye to eye, but we made magic together. No one played like him. I love you, Ace. Fly on." Gene Simmons simply, "My heart is broken. Ace was one of a kind. The kid who showed up with 2 different sneakers and changed my life forever. Rest in peace, brother." All that's left is the kid from the Bronx, their brother, the logo, the sound, the soul. The mask is gone. The feuding is over. The pain is gone. All that remains is the legacy. Ace Frehley is gone, but his sound is immortal. Go listen to the solo from Shock Me. Just listen to it. That is not a 70s guitar solo. That is a composition, a song within a song. It's melodic, it's emotional, it's arrogant, it's perfect. Every single note matters. You cannot have 1980s metal without Ace Frehley. You cannot have 1990s grunge without Ace Frehley. Ask Dimebag Darrell, ask Slash, ask Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, ask John 5, ask any rock guitarist who picked up the instrument in the last 40 years. They will all tell you the same thing. They didn't want to be Jimmy Page. That was too complex. They didn't want to be Eddie Van Halen. That was too athletic. They wanted to be Ace. They wanted to have that swagger, that feel, that effortless, sloppy, perfect cool. He wasn't the fastest. He was the coolest. He wasn't a virtuoso. He was an artist. He proved you didn't need to read music. He proved you didn't need to practice scales. He proved you just needed to have something to say. He was the kid told he had no future. And he responded by creating a future so loud, so bright, so utterly cool that an entire generation of kids picked up guitars and followed him, all the way to the stars. Yes, we lost him. Yes, it hurts. The obituaries are written. The tributes are posted. The flags at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame are lowered to half-mast. We try to make sense of the loss. We try to file him away, to define him. Was he the shy kid from the Bronx? The street tough from the Ducks? Was he the invincible spaceman? The addled addict? The bitter ex-bandmate? The sober survivor? The truth is, he was all of them. All at once. That was his curse. And that was his gift. He was a brilliant, blazing, human contradiction. And it's so easy now that he's gone to focus on the silence, to remember the feuds, the failures, the sadness, to mourn what was lost. But don't. That's not his legacy. His legacy saws his sound. His legacy is joy. His legacy is noise. So, look at this. Look at him. Madison Square Garden, 1977. He's in his prime, bathed in white light. The silver costume is blinding. He leans back, his black Les Paul held high. He hits that first howling note of the Shock Me solo. And the crowd, 20,000 strong. They don't just cheer, they levitate. That is Ace Frehley. Look at him, the Tom Snyder Show. Cackling, uncontrollable, derailing the entire broadcast while his bandmates simmer in silence. He's a disaster, and he's the most charismatic, authentic, real human being on television. That is Ace Frehley. Look at him. Unplugged, 19th to 95. Older, nervous. He hits the opening chords to 2000 Man. And in that one moment, with those 3 simple chords, he heals a 15-year wound for millions of people. That is Ace Frehley. That gift doesn't die. It doesn't get buried. It doesn't fade away. It's alive, right now. It's alive in every garage band in the world, in every kid who plugs a cheap guitar into a tiny amp, turns the gain all the way up, and strikes their first fumbling power chord. That kid feels powerful. That kid feels cool. That kid feels like Ace. It's alive in every bar, on every jukebox, every time the opening riff of Cold Gin cuts through the smoke. It's the sound of Friday night. It's the sound of rebellion. It's alive every time New York Groove plays at a stadium, and thousands of strangers sing along, all of them for 3 minutes, feeling the swagger of the Bronx. So mourn him, miss him, of course, but then go to the shelf, pull out Alive, pull out that 1978 solo album, put the needle on the record, and turn it up, loud. Turn it up loud enough to shake the pictures on the wall, loud enough to annoy your neighbors, loud enough to feel that sound in your chest, because that's how he lives on, not in silence, not in sadness, in pure, glorious, unapologetic rock and roll. The Spaceman has returned to the stars, but he left his guitar and his groove with us. Thank you, Ace. Thank you for everything.